Breaking news out of Milton, Ontario, where a judge has just found an Ontario couple guilty of murder in the death of a 12-year-old boy who was in their care and the torture of his younger brother. The boys, both Indigenous, both inside Ontario's child welfare system, and there are warnings about the graphic nature of these allegations, these assertions, and now a finding of guilt around child abuse. All right, let's turn to the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick, who was just inside the courthouse, now outside, joining me now live. Megan, take us through guilty.
It was a very quick decision, David. Justice Clayton Conlan telling the court when court got underway that the reasons for his decisions are lengthy. The written decision, about 300 pages. So he told court he would not be going through all of his reasons. And he got straight to the point, telling the court that he was finding the two women guilty on all counts that they were facing. So they had been charged with first-degree murder, as well as multiple other charges in relation to the younger brother, including assault and failing to provide the necessaries of life. So the judge telling court that he did find that they unlawfully confined the younger boy, that they assaulted him with a weapon, that they failed to provide the necessaries of life, and that they did commit first-degree murder. When he said those words, David, there was an audible gasp in the courtroom, which was quite full of people, quite a few spectators here to hear the decisions. The defendants themselves, I was watching them closely for their reactions. One shook her head in disbelief, the other kind of jutting her neck out as in she couldn't believe it either. Then not long after the decisions were given, the two defendants were put in handcuffs and led out of the courtroom. Also, it was an emotional scene in the courtroom. Those spectators there to hear the decisions, I saw some of them crying and some of them hugging each other afterwards. They are now, so those spectators still in the courthouse outside the courtroom milling about. We are hoping to hear from them and also trying to get our hands on the written decision, David, so we can see the reasons for the justice's findings of guilty on all counts that the two women were facing. He told the court that he will now move the matter over to scheduling court, essentially to set a date for sentencing for these two women. So with these findings, this does draw to a close for now anyway, a lengthy court case that dates back to 2022. That is when the 12-year-old boy was found unresponsive in the basement bedroom of the home where he lived with his younger brother and the couple for about 5 years. A pathologist who did the autopsy could not determine an exact cause of death, but he testified during the trial and said he couldn't rule out that malnutrition or hypothermia could have been a factor in the child's death. Before he died, several weeks before he died, he weighed just 48 pounds. The defense had argued that the boy had an eating disorder, though there was never a formal diagnosis. During the lengthy trial, it started back in September. There was a lot of disturbing evidence that was presented, including text messages between the two women, where they complained about the older boy's behavior and they used extremely offensive language to refer to the boy. The younger brother testified. He was a key witness. He talked about what it was like living in the home, including how he and his brother were locked in their rooms for hours at a time, how they were forced to wear wetsuits and helmets and other treatment. And the defense had argued that the women were using parenting methods designed to protect the boys from harming themselves. They argued that the boys had serious behavioral issues and that they did not get enough help from the children's aid societies. A lot of questions have been raised about the children's aid societies through this case, what red flags may have been missed. And that's prompting calls, David, for a public inquiry of some kind. The former child advocate for the province of Ontario is among those calling for a thorough investigation of what happened here. And we've also heard from the biological mother for the two boys. She released a statement to CBC News in the past couple of days, and it calls for more accountability in the child welfare system. And she also said that her son was loved by his family, that he is missed, and that he should be remembered for more than this tragedy. We will be tracking more reaction to these decisions here today. But again, these two women found guilty on all charges. David?
Megan Fitzpatrick in Milton, Ontario, outside inside the court. Thank you. You can read more about this horrifying case and the decision online. There's a live story page up right now. It details not just the assertions, the testimony, but the finding of guilt on all charges for this Ontario couple, 2 women who will now face sentencing for murder.